Hello, hello everyone. So, in this video, I'm going to discuss or I'm going to explain about the Python laboratory activity and parts 1 to 5. So here, for the part 1, we have the first problem, which is the student information system. So here, uh, this is the code. So in this program, uh, in this initialization part, we ask for this we ask for the user uh to put in the student ID, to put in the name, the section, and their 3 grades. So after that, we store the text values using strings, and then the grades is uh we use the float for the grades, as you can see here, because grades contains decimal, so we need to put float instead of integer there. And after that, after getting the grades, we need to compute the average. So this is the formula for the average. We compute the average by adding all 3 and dividing it by 3. And then lastly, we display everything in a formatted output. It shows here the student report, which contains the student ID, the name, section, grades, and of course the average grade. So moving on to the problem 2, which is salary calculator. So here we're gonna move on to the code. Here the program asks for the employee name, the basic salary, number of overtime hours or OT, and so for each overtime hour, it's gonna be worth 150 pesos. So we multiply it by the overtime hours, as you can see here, and then we compute. What are we going to compute? We compute for the gross salary, the tax, and the net salary. So for the gross salary, we're just going to add the basic salary and then the overtime pay. And then for the tax, it's always gonna be the 12% of gross salary. And then the net salary is equals to gross salary minus tax. And then the output is displayed with 2 decimal places, as you can see here, to provide accuracy to the answers or to the total amount. And then for the problem 3, which is online shopping cart, here this program is asking for 3 product names, their quantities, and also their prices. So for each item, the total is equals to the quantity multiplied by the prices. So here, all totals are added to get the grand total. So the output is gonna look like a real receipt. So here, as you can see, we just formatted that to look like a real receipt, but one thing that you need to understand, or what's important here, is that the formula for this, for the amount, for the quantity, and for the price, that's what you need to be noting out. and then also the formula for the total, which is I explained earlier. So moving on to the part 2, which is conditional statements. So here for the problem 1, it is the leap year checker. So here, very simple. This program checks if a year is a leap year using this rule, which is divisible by 4 and not divisible by 100. Or here's the rule: divisible by 4 and not divisible by 100, or divisible by 400. If true, print leap year, and if it's not true, then print not a leap year. So here, this just shows the logical conditions that uh, we put into the code. Like for the year, it's gonna be divided by 4, and then it's gonna look for the remainder of that, and if it's 0, then it's gonna be true, but it needs to check also the second condition, which is this part here, which is year divided by 100. And if it's not divisible by 100, or if it has a remainder and not 0, or if its remainder is not equals to 0, then this condition is gonna be true. Otherwise, it's gonna look for this. If this is not true, then the program is going to check for this next condition, which is the year is divided by 400, looks for its remainder, and if the remainder is equals to 0, then it's gonna be true and it's gonna print leap year. And otherwise, if the condition is not true, then it's gonna print not leap year, as you can see here. So number 2, problem 2, triangle type and identifier. So of course, this the rules for the equilateral. It's all equal, isosceles 2 equal, scalene all different, and not a valid triangle if the triangle is inequality fails. So here, as you can see, we just need the sides of the triangle as the inputs, and here the code: if side 1 is equals to side 2 and is equal to side 3, it means that all the sides are equal, so it's gonna be equilateral. Else, if the side 1 is equals to side 2, or the side 1 is equals to side 3, or either of this one, it's gonna be called isosceles. And else, if the side 1 is not equal to side 2 and it's not also equal to side 3, then it's gonna be scalene. And then for not a valid triangle, so of course, if the answer for this is less than or equals the value of side 3, then it's gonna be not a valid triangle. If the total of this both sides is not equal or less than the value of side 3. And then number 3, number comparison game. So you need to input 3 numbers, num1, num2, num3, and then it's gonna print the largest number. So how? It's gonna check if which here is the largest. So here I put the A as the largest. And if here, for the condition, if B is greater than largest, then the largest is gonna be put to B. And also, if C is greater than the largest, which is A, and then it's gonna change the value inside the largest, which is going to be C if it's greater than the letter A, or yeah, if it's greater than the num1. So here, this is the formula for finding the largest number. And then of course it's gonna check if it is gonna be odd or even. So how? If largest, after this condition, it's gonna print the largest first, like this part. And then after that, it's not done yet. It's gonna check if the largest divided by 2 has a remainder of 0. And if it's not, then it's gonna be odd. Okay, then part 3. This is conditional statements. Okay, so number 1 is scholarship eligibility. So here, the average is the formula for having a full scholarship discount, and then this is the formula for having a partial scholarship. So I just put that into the code like this. So I asked the user to input the average grade and then the family income, so I can use that for the formula here. So it's gonna check if the average is greater than or equals 90, and then the income of the family is less than 200k. So if both condition is true, then it's gonna print full scholarship. So if it's not, then it's gonna proceed to the next condition, which is it's gonna check if the average is greater than 85 and the family income is less than 500k. So if that's the condition, then it's gonna be partial scholarship. So if this two condition is not true, then it's gonna proceed to the else, which is not eligible. Number 2, electricity bill calculator. So here's the formula that our prof gave us. So look, as you can see for my code, here I put I asked the user again for the consumption, and then I use that for my formula. If the consumption is less than or equals to 100, then the kilowatts is set to 5. Then else, if this is not true, it's gonna proceed to else, then it's gonna be 8 instead. And then as for the charges, it is capped at 50. And then for the bill, it has the formula of multiplying the consumption to the kilowatt per hour, I think. And then for after multiplying those two, it adds the 50 here as the charge to add to the total bill, and then it's just going to print it here. Okay, then next, number 3, the username and password validation. So of course, this is the default username and the default password that we're going to use. So we just need the input username password. Then we're gonna check if the username that is input by the user is contains admin, or the password is contains 1 2 3 4 5. If both of this condition is true, then it's gonna log in successfully. Then If not, then it's gonna proceed to the else block, which is gonna print invalid credentials. Then proceed to the part 4. This part, conditional statements, if and else if. So number 1, bus fare system. Here, the base fare, it depends to the zone. If the zone is 1, 20, and it increments by 10 up to zone 3, which is 40 pesos. And then another condition is if the age is less than 5, then it's gonna be free ride. And while if the age is between 5 to 18, that's gonna be 50% discount. And then while if the age is greater than 60, then it's gonna be 30% discount. And then if the condition is not met for the 3 of that, it's gonna proceed to the else block, which is the customers or the passengers are going to pay for the full fare. So here, as you can see, the destination, for the destination, I set it where if the destination is set to 1, then the fare is the lowest, as you can see. And then if the destination is adds like 1, if the user sets 1, if the user set the destination to 2 or to 3, then the fare is going to add here. That's basically it. And then for the discounts, so here it's gonna check if the age is less than or equal to 4. Then if it's true, then it's gonna print free ride. And then for the final payment, then it's just going to set it because it's a free ride, right? So if the value of the fare is 20, as you can see here, it's going to minus the same amount as the fare. So that's why I put here in the formula is fare minus fare to subtract everything. And then for the next condition, if age is greater than 5 or equal to 5, then as you can see for the formula, the fare is just going to subtract 50% from the fare as its final fare. And then so on so forth. For the 60 years old, it's just gonna multiply to 30%, and else they're gonna pay for the full fare, which is it's just gonna be equals to fare without any deduction. So here's the output. Then for the number 2, GPA to letter grade converter, so they're going to input GPA, which is 0 to 4. So here, the program checking if the GPA is greater than or equal to 3.6 and the GPA is less than 4.0, which is included here at the top. So I just interpreted it and put it into the code. So basically, checks for this part, for this both condition, if both of this condition is true, then it's gonna print A, and it's gonna be the same thing as this part. But if this for condition here is not true, then the GPA is here in the final else if block. So there it's gonna be printed as E. Number 3, ATM withdrawal validator. So here they're just gonna input the withdrawal. amount. So for the amount, uh, if the amount is less than, which is also included or included here in the instructions. So here, as you can see, amount is less if amount is less than or equal to 20,000 and amount divided by 100 doesn't have any remainder, then the transaction is successful. Otherwise, it's gonna proceed to the else, which is gonna print invalid amount or exceeds limit. Then for the part 5 conditional statements, match. So number 1, cafe ordering system. So for the number 2, grade remarks with match. So here, I just put as input is letter grade. Then if letter grade is equals to 0, then it's just gonna print excellent. Basically, it's just gonna check if the value that is inputted by the user match this this characters that are inside the string. Then it's gonna print the necessary sentence for that. Number 3, currency converter. So here, I just added here for the user to know the current value of the currencies. So here the user is going to input the amount. Then if the code is equals to USD, then USD is it's going to check what the USD has, or if the USD is 50 pesos in, if 1 USD is 50 in Philippine pesos, then it's gonna be the amount, which is 1 times 50 always, or the amount that is going to be inputted by the user is going to be multiplied by 50 times, because for every 1 US dollar it's gonna be 50 pesos. So that's why. And it's also the same for this. But if the code is equals to PHP, which is the same, it doesn't need to do anything. I mean, we can just delete this multiplied by 1 and just gonna put amount here. But this also works too. It works pa rin.